Hello and welcome back, guys. We're now starting a new story, Mansion's Flower, written by Corinna Camalipa. You can find author's profile link in the description. Let's begin. Chapter 1, The Beginning. Hey there, this story is for those who like this ships. This is a Deku HRM and only for our 17+, warning, so I hope you all like this story and keep reading. A appealing day. Izuku, a simple young lady, lives in a small town, supporting her mother by working non-stop. She is not just a appealing lady, she is kind, hardworking, humble and smart. She works as a baker, painter, cleaning the houses of customers, waitress at the restaurant, and deliverer. Izuku, breathing as she jogs up to a door with a DLVRY bag slung over her shoulder. DLVRY for Mr. Tanaka. Sorry for the wait. Mr. Tanaka opens the door and gives a surprised look. Well, that was fast. You're always the one bringing my orders. Don't you ever take a break, young lady? Izuku smiles and wipes the sweat from her forehead. No time for breaks, sir. I have to keep working hard. Gotta make sure all the deliveries are on time, and my mom needs the extra money for her treatment, so I can't afford to slack off. Mr. Tanaka, take the package and look at her with a mixture of admiration and concern. You're a good daughter, Izuku. Always doing your best. But don't push yourself too hard, alright? You've got to stay healthy too. I'll be okay, don't worry about me. I'm tougher than I look. Besides, I'm saving up little by little, and soon Mom will be back on her feet. Izuku smiled. Mr. Tanaka, you're always welcome to stop by and rest if you need to. Don't hesitate to ask for help, okay? Izuku nodded, smiling. Anyway, I better get going. Still got a few more deliveries before sundown. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Waves as she jogs off to her next DLVRY. I'll keep that in mind. Later, at a local park, Izuku sits on a bench, catching her breath and sipping water. Just a few more deliveries left. Izuku sighs. She pulls out her phone to check on her mother's condition. Mom said she's feeling a bit better today. That's good. Izuku smiles to herself. I'll work even harder tomorrow, so she can keep improving. She hurries across the street, her DLVRY bag bouncing on her back. Suddenly, she spots an elderly man struggling with several heavy bags, stepping off the curb without noticing an approaching car. Watch out! She drops her bag and dashes toward him, grabbing his arm and pulling him back just in time. The old man stumbles a bit, then catches his breath. Oh my! That was close. Thank you, young lady. You just saved an old fool like me. The old man says, no problem, sir. Are you okay? You're not hurt, right? She notices the bags scattered on the ground and quickly picks them up. Let me help you with these. Izuku asked, breathless, and helped him steady. You're quite the fast one, aren't you? I didn't even see you coming. Old man chuckled. Hee. Izuku smiled. I'm alright, just a little shaken. But these bags are a bit much for me. Thank you for picking them up. Old man says, it's no trouble at all. I'm used to carrying heavy loads. Izuku glances at him, tilting her head slightly. Are you sure you're okay to keep walking? I can help carry these all the way home if you'd like. The old man raises an eyebrow, clearly impressed. Well, if you wouldn't mind, I could use the company. It's not far from here. The old man smiled. You know, young lady, not many people would have done what you did just now. You seem like a hard worker. Oh, I just did what anyone else would do. I'm always running around town delivering things, so I've gotten pretty quick on my feet. Izuku laughs softly. Is that so? Old man teased. Plus, I need to stay in shape so I can keep earning money to help my mom. She's been sick, so I'm working to cover her medical bills. Izuku says. Old man nods slowly, as if coming to a decision. A kind heart and a strong spirit, those are hard to come by these days. You know, I've been looking for someone reliable to help out around the mansion. If you're interested, I'd be more than happy to hire you. The pay is good, and there's room for more than just deliveries. The old man says. The old man gives his number, and a picture of his house with the address on it. Why you live here? I didn't realize you were. Are you sure you'd want to hire someone like me? I'm just a DLVRY girl. Izuku eyes widened, and yet, you've done more than most people would. Hard work and kindness matter more to me than a fancy resume. The old man smiled and extended his hand. What do you say? Would you like to join my staff? Izuku stares at his hand for a moment, then slowly smiles, eyes bright with gratitude. Yes, sir. I'd love to. I promise I'll give it everything I've got. She takes his hand, shaking it firmly. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Old man chuckles softly. Thank you for saving an old man today. I have a feeling you'll do great things here, young lady. Izuku smiled watching the old man leaving picked up by its personal driver. She smiled after taking the old man's offer. She is happy that she gets a big opportunity to get a high financial to help her mom. Next day Izuku stands at the grand gates of the mansion, her eyes wide in awe as she takes in the sheer size of the estate. The mansion is huge. She adjusts the strap of the luggage over her shoulder, feeling a bit nervous but also excited. I've never seen a place this fancy in person before. Izuku jaw drop. A distinguished-looking butler approaches her, bowing slightly. Good morning, Miss Midoriya. The MSTR has informed me of your arrival. Please, allow me to assist you with your bags. The butler asked. Oh, no, that's okay. I can handle it, really. I'm used to carrying heavy things. She gives the butler a polite smile. But, I'd appreciate some directions. It's my first day here, and I don't want to get lost. Izuku says. The butler smiles, a hint of amusement in his expression. Understandable. The mansion can be a bit overwhelming at first. I'll guide you to your quarters and then show you around the main areas you'll be working in. He gestures for her to follow. Right this way, Miss Midoriya. Izuku follows him through the large front doors, her eyes darting around to take in the elegant decor, chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, marble floors, and finely crafted furniture. It's like something out of a movie, Izuku mumbles under her breath, feeling a bit out of place in such a luxurious setting. You'll get used to it, I'm sure. The MSTR has a good eye for quality, but he's quite down to earth. You'll find the staff here are like family. The butler says. The butler stops in front of a room and opens the door. This room looks comfy. Izuku smiled. You can take a look. This will be your quarters. It's modest, but comfortable. Once you're settled in, the MSTR would like to speak with you in the garden. The butler says. Izuku peeks into the room, surprised to see it's much nicer than she expected, a soft bed, a small desk, and a view of the sprawling garden outside the window. This is amazing. It's more than I could have ever asked for. She sets down her luggage and turns back to the butler with a grateful smile. Thank you for showing me around. I'll be ready to see the MSTR in just a moment. The butler bows slightly. Take your time, Miss Midoriya. I'll be waiting just outside. Later, in the garden the old man sits at a small table surrounded by blooming flowers, sipping tea. He smiles as Izuku approaches. Ah, there you are, young lady. How do you like the mansion so far? Is it to your liking? Old man says. Izuku smiled softly and nodded quickly, still taking in the beauty of the garden. Yes, sir. Honestly, it's more than I ever imagined. I've never seen a place like this, let alone thought I'd be working in one. Izuku says softly. I'm glad to hear you're settling in. As I mentioned yesterday, you'll be assisting with various tasks around the mansion. I know it's different from your DLVRY work, but I'm confident you'll adapt quickly. The old man chuckled. And remember, if you need help or have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. You've already proven yourself to be a hard worker, but there's no shame in seeking guidance. Thank you, sir. I promise I'll give it my all and do my best not to let you down. I'm ready to start whenever you need me. Izuku smiled, old man nods approvingly. Good. Then, let's begin. I'll have the butler give you a rundown of your tasks for today. Welcome to the mansion, Miss Midoriya. Izuku takes a deep breath, her eyes filled with determination. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. She bows deeply before following the butler to begin her first day of work. The butler leads Izuku down a grand hallway, his expression calm and professional. Miss Midoriya, your primary task for today will be to clean the east wing. The MSTR likes to maintain the mansion in pristine condition, and I trust you won't find the task too daunting. The butler says. Izuku nods enthusiastically, gripping the handle of the cleaning kit. Yes, sir. I'll do my best. I'm ready to start right away. The butler pauses, his tone becoming more serious. Before you begin, there is something you should be aware of. The MSTR's son, Katsuki Bakugo, often stays in the East Wing. His cousins, such as Hitoshi Shinso, and his friends including Todoroki, Kirishima, Denki, Rodi, and Gilio Gandini also visit frequently. They all come from wealthy families and are used to a certain lifestyle. Izuku blinks, her expression a mix of surprise and curiosity. The MSTR's son and his friends live here. I didn't realize. The butler nods slightly. Yes, and they can be quite demanding. They have a reputation for being stubborn, and some might say, a bit arrogant. It's best if you stay out of their way and simply focus on your duties. If they make any requests of you, remain polite and comply if possible. Should any issues arise, don't hesitate to inform me. Izuku swallows, her nerves fluttering at the thought of dealing with a group of wealthy young men. Understood, sir. I'll be careful not to disturb them and just focus on my work. I'll make sure the East Wing is spotless by the end of the day. Very well. I believe you'll do just fine, Miss Midoriya. Now, you may begin. I will be nearby should you need anything. The butler says and leaves her. In the East Wing, Izuku walks through the expansive hallway, carrying the cleaning supplies. Her gaze flickers over the luxurious ornate statues, lavish rugs, and large portraits hanging on the walls. Wow, this place is even bigger up close. I'd better be extra careful, Izuku mumbled while cleaning and dusting the frames. Izuku walks down the long corridor toward the East Wing, carrying her cleaning supplies. As she approaches, she hears voices and laughter coming from one of the rooms. I thought this part of the mansion would be empty. She mumbled. She cautiously peeks inside the room and sees a group of young men lounging on the couches, casually chatting and relaxing. A young man with fierce red eyes and blonde spiky hair noticed her. He glances over his shoulder, his expression irritated. TCH. What do you want, new girl? We're busy here. Bakugo says. Izuku straightens up, clutching the cleaning cloth nervously but putting on a polite smile. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. I'm supposed to clean this room, and I didn't realize anyone would be here. I can come back later if it's a bad time. Izuku answers and bows slightly. Shinso leans back, a hint of curiosity in his gaze. Why not just go ahead? We're not moving anytime soon. It's your job, isn't it? Kirishima gives Izuku an encouraging smile. Yeah, don't worry about us. We're not gonna bite or anything. Just do what you need to do. Izuku nods, stepping inside cautiously. Alright then, excuse me. She begins dusting the shelves and polishing the furniture, doing her best to stay focused despite the weight of several pairs of eyes on her. Denki casually nudges Kirishima and whispers, his tone amused. She's kinda cute, huh? Haven't seen a maid like her here before. Todoroki glances up from his book, his gaze briefly lingering on Izuku as she works. She's definitely different. Rodi crosses his arms, smirking slightly. You guys are already making her nervous. She's just trying to do her job. Giulio Gandini quietly observes Izuku as she moves around the room, a curious look in his eyes. She's certainly dedicated. Not many people can focus that hard with an audience. Giulio says. Izuku feels the boy's gaze on her, making her cheeks flush slightly, but she keeps working, determined to do her best. It's fine, they're just watching. Nothing to worry about, she whispers to herself. Bakugo grunts and leans back on the couch, his tone gruff. Hurry it up, would you? We don't have all day for you to be dusting around us. Izuku quickly nods, bowing slightly. Yes, sir. I'll be out of your way in just a moment. She finishes wiping down the coffee table and gathers her cleaning supplies, giving the room one last look to ensure everything is spotless. There, all done. Excuse me, and thank you for letting me clean. She turns to leave, feeling the tension ease slightly as she steps back out into the hallway. Shinso watches her go, an amused smile playing on his lips. Well, she didn't run away screaming, so I guess that's a good start. Kirishima laughs lightly, give her some credit. She's got guts, coming in here and working without getting flustered. Bakugo snorts, whatever. She's just another maid. Don't get all worked up over it. Izuku, as she walks away, she takes a deep breath, her cheeks still slightly flushed. Well, that was awkward. But I made it through my first encounter. She smiles to herself, feeling a bit more confident as she heads toward her next task. I just need to stay focused and keep doing my best. I'm here for my mom, after all. Later, Izuku carries the packages down the hallway toward the storage area, her arms aching slightly from the weight. Almost there, she mumbles to herself, she pushing open the door to the storage room and setting down the boxes with a small sigh of relief. As she turns to leave, a hidden tripwire catches her foot, causing her to stumble forward. Just then, a strategically placed bucket tips over, dumping a mixture of feathers and flour on her head. Izuku gasps as the flour and feathers cover her from head to toe, her eyes widening in shock. Wadash! Laughter erupts from the entrance as Bakugo, Denki, and Rodi step inside, grinning at her stunned expression. Bakugo smirks, crossing his arms as he leans against the doorway. Nice look, new girl. Didn't think you'd fall for that one so easily. Denki laughs, giving Bakugo a playful nudge. Dude, that was priceless. The look on her face, Rodi chuckles, shaking his head. Come on, it was just a joke. Lighten up. Izuku slowly rises to her feet, her fists clenched at her sides as she glares at them. A joke. You think this is funny? Her voice trembles with anger as she wipes flour from her eyes. I'm here to work, not to be the punchline of some stupid prank. Bakugo raises an eyebrow, his smirk fading slightly as he notices the fire in her eyes. What's the matter? Can't take a little fun? It's just some flour. Izuku's voice rises with frustration as she steps closer, glaring up at Bakugo. I don't have time for fun like you do. I'm not some rich kid who gets to mess around all day. I'm working hard for my mom's recovery. This isn't just a job to me, it's my life. Izuku wipes her face again, the frustration and humiliation catching up to her as tears start to form in her eyes. But of course, you wouldn't understand that. The room falls silent as the laughter dies down, and the boy's expressions shift from amusement to guilt. Denki rubs the back of his neck, his tone hesitant. We didn't mean to dash. Rodi looks away, frowning, we just thought it'd be harmless. Izuku's voice cracks slightly as she turns away, quickly brushing the tears from her cheeks. I don't need your apologies. Just stay out of my way. Well, excuse me. She hurries out of the storage room, leaving behind a trail of flour and feathers. In her room, Izuku throws herself onto the bed, burying her face in her pillow as she screams in frustration. Why did this have to happen on the first day? She clenches the pillow tightly, her voice muffled as she vents her irritation. I'm not going to let them get to me. I'm stronger than that. I'll show them I'm not just some easy target. She grabs a fresh set of clothes and heads to the bathroom to clean up, determined to put this rough start behind her and prove herself worthy of the job. Chapter 2, Different Maid. Back in the lounge, Kirishima leans back on the couch, shaking his head slowly. Man, I didn't expect her to react like that. She's different from all the other maids. You know, usually, they just try to stay out of our way or try to get on our good side. Denki nods in agreement, a hint of a smile forming on his face. Yeah, they're usually either super sensitive or, well, kind of flirtatious, like they're trying to get something out of us. But she didn't even hesitate to fight back. She's got guts. Shinso crosses his arms, his expression thoughtful, and she's not bad-looking either. Actually, she's pretty cute. He smirks slightly. But it's her attitude that stands out the most. Rody grins, giving the others a playful nudge. You guys are all just impressed because she's the first girl who didn't fall all over herself to please us. It's kinda refreshing, though, I'll admit. Giulio Gandini nods, his tone calm. She does seem to have some dignity. Unlike the others who would either cry or try to stalk us for attention, she was genuinely angry and didn't care who we were. Todoroki looks up from his book, his expression thoughtful. It's true. There's something different about her. She's not interested in impressing us. I think she values her work more than our opinions. Bakugo grunts, leaning back against the wall with his arms crossed, a slight scowl on his face. TCH, whatever. So she stood up for herself. Doesn't change the fact that she's still just a maid. He frowns, but there's a hint of conflict in his eyes as he recalls her angry, tear-filled gaze. It was just a prank, she didn't have to get so worked up. Bakugo added. Denki glances at Bakugo, smirking slightly. Oh, come on, Bakugo. You're not seriously still mad about that, are you? She did catch you off guard with that attitude. Bakugo shoots Denki a glare, his tone defensive. I'm not mad. I just don't see why you all are making such a big deal about her. So what if she's different? It's not like it matters. Bakugo's expression softens slightly as he thinks back to the moment she stormed out. And maybe we did go too far a little. Rody raises an eyebrow, chuckling. So you do feel bad, huh? Bakugo clicks his tongue, his pride keeping him from fully admitting it. TCH, don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say I feel bad. I just didn't expect her to take it so personally. Kirishima grins, nudging Bakugo. Well, she's definitely not like the other maids we've had. She's got more fight in her, and it looks like you're gonna have to deal with it. Bakugo scoffs, his expression torn between irritation and faint guilt. Whatever. She can do what she wants. Doesn't mean I'm apologizing. Giulio Gandini gives Bakugo a knowing look. It's alright to admit when you're wrong, you know. There's no harm in apologizing, especially if you want to make sure this doesn't happen again. Bakugo narrows his eyes, his pride and stubbornness still holding him back. You guys can apologize if you want. I don't need to do anything. Todoroki glances at Bakugo, then back at the others. Whether he apologizes or not, I think we should still talk to her. If anything, to make it clear that she's not going to be treated like that every day. Shinso nods in agreement. And maybe try to make things a bit easier for her. It's the least we can do after what happened. The young men share a mutual understanding, realizing they need to make things right with Izuku. Though Bakugo's pride is still getting in the way, the others are determined to at least start with a proper apology, and perhaps even earn the respect of the feisty new maid. In the dining room, the 7 young men gather around the large dining table, the atmosphere unusually quiet as they pick at their food. The old man, Bakugo's father, sits at the head of the table, observing them carefully. His keen eyes miss nothing, and he quickly notices the subdued mood. Old man, Bakugo's father clears his throat, setting down his fork. Well now, this is quite the change from your usual loud banter. What's got all of you so quiet today? The boys exchange glances, none of them speaking up at first. Bakugo's expression remains stubbornly blank, but there's a slight tension in his posture. Old man raises an eyebrow, a knowing smile tugging at his lips. Let me guess, it's about the new maid, isn't it? You boys are already causing trouble again. Rody sighs, rubbing the back of his neck. We might have pulled a prank on her earlier. It didn't go over so well. Denki nods slowly, his voice quiet. Yeah, she kinda blew up on us. But it's the first time anyone has ever talked back like that. Old man leans back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. Is that so? Seems like she's not the kind to let herself be pushed around. He chuckles softly. I must say, that's precisely why I hired her. Kirishima looks up in surprise. You hired her because she's tough. Old man nods, his eyes twinkling with a hint of mischief. I saw a spark in her when we met. A kind of resilience that's rare to find. I knew someone like that would bring a fresh presence to this mansion and might just have an influence on all of you. Shinso, we're not that bad, uncle, Bakugo irritated. You should hire another, she's getting on my nerves. Old man smirks, folding his hands on the table. You boys have been too comfortable here for too long. Thinking you can do as you please. You needed someone who wouldn't be afraid to stand up to you, someone who wouldn't just go along with whatever nonsense you throw at her, and it seems she's already made quite an impression. Bakugo frowns, a mix of frustration and grudging respect in his expression. TCH. She's just stubborn. That doesn't mean she's gonna change anything around here. Old man smiles knowingly. Oh, I think you'd be surprised. Sometimes, it takes just one person to change the atmosphere of an entire place, and who knows? Perhaps her presence here will be exactly what all of you need. Giulio Gandini tilts his head thoughtfully. But, she's just some other girl, she's not that special. Bakugo, yeah, she's just a stubborn town girl. I swear she's going to be like the other maids that can't stay any longer. Rolled eyes, old man, his tone is confident and serious. She's not just any girl. She's a hard-working young woman with a strong spirit. If anyone can shake things up around here, it's someone like her. The young men exchange glances again, a newfound curiosity forming in their minds about Izuku. It seems their new maid might be more than just a target for pranks or someone to order around. She could be the one to bring about the change their lives in the mansion sorely needed. Night at the lounge. The boys are scattered around the lounge, engaging in their usual activities. Denki and Kirishima are locked in a heated match on the PS5, Giulio and Todoroki are immersed in their books, Rody is fiddling with his camera settings, and Bakugo is sulking in his chair, still brooding over the events from earlier in the day. Denki laughs as he lands a hit in the game. Kirishima, you're going down again. That's 3 times in a row. Kirishima grins, not backing down. Keep talking, man. I'm just getting started. Meanwhile, the conversation shifts back to the new maid, Izuku, as the boys can't seem to get her off their minds. Rody adjusting his camera, he glances up. You know, she was assigned to clean the kitchen tonight. I wonder if she's still mad about earlier. Giulio Gandini lowers his book, nodding thoughtfully. I wouldn't blame her if she was. But I think we should at least check if she's alright. We might have gone too far with that prank. Bakugo scoffs, arms crossed. TCH. You're all acting like we did something unforgivable. She'll get over it. Todoroki closes his book and stands. We should at least apologize. If nothing else, it's the right thing to do. The boys make their way to the kitchen, where they find Izuku diligently working, dressed in a silky white dress with her hair flowing down her back. The soft glow of the kitchen lights adds a touch of elegance to her appearance, and for a moment, the boys are struck silent by the sight of her. Even Bakugo, despite his irritation, can't help but feel his cheeks heat up slightly. As she works, Izuku senses a presence behind her and tenses up, a shiver running down her spine. Izuku mutters under her breath, glancing over her shoulder, is someone there? She hesitates, half expecting a ghost or something strange, and nearly drops the dish she's holding when she sees the group of boys standing there. Oh. It's you all? Izuku sighs. She quickly regains her composure, her expression hardening as she remembers the prank from earlier. Her brows knit together in annoyance. Izuku turns to face them fully, her voice cool, "What do you want?" "I'm busy." The boys exchange glances, feeling a bit awkward now that they're face to face with her again. Denki scratches the back of his head, offering a sheepish smile. We actually came here to apologize." Kirishima steps forward, his tone sincere. "Yeah, we went too far earlier. We didn't mean to make you cry." Rody nods, looking at her earnestly. "We didn't realize how it would affect you, and we're sorry. It wasn't fair to you." Izuku blinking in surprise, her hardened expression softens slightly as she looks from one boy to the next. She wasn't expecting them to apologize, especially after how they had acted before. "You really mean it?" Her voice is quieter now, as if unsure whether to believe them. Gilio gives a small, reassuring smile. "Yes, we do. You stood up to us, and we respect that. We just wanted to make sure you know we didn't mean any harm." Todoroki is calm but sincere. "You're different from the others, and we didn't handle that the right way. We'd like to start over, if that's okay with you." Izuku's expression softens further as she processes their words. Though she's still mad about what happened, there's a part of her that appreciates the gesture. Izuku crosses her arms, glancing down for a moment before looking back at them. "Fine. I accept your apology, but if you ever pull something like that again, I won't hesitate to fight back." Bakugo's pride gets in the way, he grunts and looks away. "TCH, don't get too full of yourself. We're not gonna mess with you again probably." Izuku raises an eyebrow at Bakugo's half-hearted apology but can't help the small smile that creeps onto her lips. She gives a firm nod before turning back to her cleaning. "Good. Now, if you don't mind, I have work to do," Izuku says. Before the boys exit the kitchen, there's a moment of hesitation in the air. They realize they should properly introduce themselves now that the tension has eased a bit. Kirishima steps forward again, his smile wide and friendly. "Hey, we should probably introduce ourselves properly. I'm Kirishima." Denki chimes in enthusiastically, bouncing slightly on his feet. "And I'm Denki. Nice to meet you, Izuku." Izuku blinks, caught a bit off guard by their sudden friendliness, but she can't help but return their smiles. There's a warmth in the air, and she feels a bit more at ease. Izuku nods, a small smile appearing on her face. "Nice to meet you both. I'm Izuku." The boys exchange impressed glances at her genuine smile, each of them feeling a flutter in their hearts. Gilio Gandini steps forward with a charming grin. "I'm Gilio. You really surprised us today, Izuku. It's not every day you see someone stand up to Bakugo like that." Bakugo scoffs, crossing his arms defensively, though his cheeks begin to warm. He looks away, trying to act indifferent. "Bakugo, TCH, don't exaggerate. I'm not that scary." He glares at the others, but there's a hint of a blush creeping up his neck. Denki notices Bakugo's flustered state and can't help but snicker, trying to hide his laughter behind his hand. Rody catching the playful atmosphere, he introduces himself with a friendly nod. "I'm Rody. I've seen you around the mansion, but it's nice to actually meet you." Izuku looks around, meeting each boy's gaze, and the more she does, the more she realizes they all have a certain charm about them each in their own way. The boys are captivated by her warmth and cuteness, feeling an unexpected fondness grow. Todoroki leaning against the wall, his tone calm but with a hint of curiosity. "You seem different from the other maids we've had. What made you want to work here?" Izuku thinks for a moment, her expression thoughtful. "I wanted to help my family. My mother is recovering from an illness, so I needed a job to support us." The boys nod, their expressions shifting from playful to respectful. Kirishima's voice filled with admiration. "That's really admirable, Izuku. It's great that you're working so hard for your family." Bakugo tries to maintain his tough exterior but feels a strange warmth inside hearing her story. He glances at her, and for a brief moment, their eyes meet. He quickly looks away, his heart racing slightly, his pride holding him back from showing any more emotion. Bakugo clears his throat, attempting to sound nonchalant. Yeah, well, just don't let it go to your head. You're still just a maid. But even he can't hide the flicker of admiration in his eyes. Izuku catches the slight blush on his face, and despite herself, she feels a spark of amusement. She decides to play along with their light-heartedness. Izuku grinning slightly, she replies playfully. And I'm still just a maid who can stand up to the rich boys in this mansion. Don't forget that. The boys erupt into laughter, the atmosphere lightening even more. Bakugo huffs, trying to suppress a smile, but he can't help the corners of his mouth lifting just a bit. With that, the boys leave, feeling a mixture of relief and excitement as they head back to the lounge, their minds buzzing with thoughts of the new maid and her infectious spirit. Chapter 3, Lovely. The next day Izuku is in the garden, sunlight filtering through the trees, casting a warm glow around her. She's dressed in a comfortable, casual outfit, focusing intently on her work as she trims the hedges and pulls out weeds. The air is filled with the fragrance of blooming flowers, and she hums softly to herself, completely immersed in her task. Inside the mansion, the boys are gathered in the lounge, lounging around as they chat. Denki is flipping through channels on the TV, Kirishima is munching on snacks, and Todoroki is half listening while reading a magazine. Rody is fiddling with his camera, trying to capture some candid moments, while Gilio is lazily sprawled out on the couch. Bakugo, sitting at the edge of the room, leans back in his chair, arms crossed and a scowl on his face, though his eyes are subtly trained on the garden outside. The others are more engrossed in the sight of Izuku, who's moving gracefully between the flowers, occasionally breaking into a smile as she works. Denki leaning closer to the window, his eyes wide with admiration. Look at her. She looks so cheerful out there. Kirishima nods enthusiastically, grinning. Yeah. She's really good at this. It's like she brings the garden to life. Gilio raises an eyebrow, smirking. You all sound like you're crushing on her. Bakugo huffs, trying to maintain his composure. The hint of a blush threatens to appear again, but he fights it off, glaring at Gilio. Bakugo growls defensively. Shut up. It's just she's not like the other maids, that's all. But even he knows that doesn't quite capture how he feels about her. Todoroki looks up from his magazine, glancing out the window with an indifferent expression, though there's a slight glimmer of interest in his eyes. Todoroki, she has a certain charm about her. It's hard not to notice. Rody snaps a picture of Izuku as she bends down to examine a flower, completely unaware of the boys watching her. The sound of the camera shutter draws Denki's attention. Denki laughs. Nice shot, Rody. You should definitely capture her smile more often. Gilio leans forward, trying to catch a glimpse through Rody's camera screen. Let me see. Wow, she looks stunning. I think she's really going to change the vibe in this place. Bakugo shifts in his seat, the words irritating him more than he'd like to admit. The way they talk about her feels annoying yet somehow interesting. Bakugo muttering under his breath. She's just doing her job. But his eyes remain glued to her as she stands back up, brushing off her hands with a satisfied smile. Denki notices Bakugo's lingering gaze and smirks, nudging Kirishima with his elbow. Hey, look at Bakugo. I think he's the one who's mesmerized here. Denki smirks. Shut up, dunce face. Bakugo glared, Kirishima joining in on the teasing. He leans closer to Bakugo. Come on, man. You can admit it. You think she's cute, right? Bakugo clenches his jaw, a low growl escaping his lips. I don't think about her like that. Just shut up already. The teasing laughter continues, but there's a hint of sincerity behind it. They can all see that something about Izuku is affecting Bakugo in a way he's not quite ready to acknowledge. Outside, Izuku pauses for a moment, feeling a chill run down her spine. She looks up, sensing that someone is watching her. Her gaze instinctively flicks toward the mansion, and though she can't see them clearly through the window, she gets the sense that the boys are there, observing her. She shakes her head with a small smile, returning to her work as a wave of warmth spreads through her, realizing she's starting to enjoy her time at the mansion more than she expected. Perhaps this job wouldn't be so bad after all. The boys continue to watch Izuku from the window, their laughter subsiding as they enjoy the sight of her working in the garden. The sunlight dances off her hair, and she seems to radiate positivity. However, the atmosphere shifts when one of the male servants approaches her. The servant, a tall man with an unsettling grin, walks up to Izuku, his posture relaxed but his demeanor all wrong. He brushes his fingers against her arm casually, his voice dripping with a faux friendliness. Servant, hey there, appealing. What a lovely day it is to be out in the garden, huh? Izuku flinches slightly at his touch, her instinct kicking in. She manages to maintain her composure, though her smile falters. Izuku forcing a smile, her voice slightly strained, yes, it is nice. I'm just dash. Before she can finish, the servant interrupts, leaning in a bit too close for comfort. Servant, you know, if you ever need help with anything around here, just let me know. I'm always around. His gaze lingers on her, an unsettling glint in his eye that makes her stomach twist. The boys inside the lounge notice the interaction through the window, and the atmosphere in the room changes dramatically. Bakugo's eyes narrow, a sense of protectiveness washing over him. Denki frowning as he watches the scene unfold. That guy gives me the creeps. What's with the way he's looking at her? Kirishima is leaning forward, his brows furrowed in concern. Yeah, he seems way too familiar for a servant. Izuku doesn't look comfortable. Gilio crosses his arms, his expression turning serious as he observes the interaction closely. We should do something. She looks like she's getting uncomfortable. Bakugo, unable to sit still, slams his fist on the arm of his chair, his frustration boiling over. DMN it. Let's go. Without waiting for a response, he storms out of the lounge, the others quickly following suit, their concern for Izuku pushing them into action. Back in the garden, Izuku shifts uncomfortably as the servant leans even closer, invading her personal space. She takes a small step back, trying to maintain her composure but feeling increasingly uneasy. Izuku, I really need to get back to work. Servant, I'm still not done talking to you. Can I get your number? Izuku, you. Just as she tries to sidestep him, she hears a voice call out from behind her, cutting through the tension like a knife. Bakugo's voice is sharp and commanding. Hey! What the hell do you think you're doing? The servant straightens up, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face as he turns to see Bakugo striding toward them, followed closely by the other boys. Servant feigns innocence, his smile not reaching his eyes. Oh, just having a friendly chat with the new maid. Nothing wrong with that, is there? Bakugo glares at the servant, his aura radiating anger. The rest of the boys gather around Izuku, forming a protective circle. Kirishima fists clenched, stepping closer to Izuku. You okay, Izuku? He was bothering you, wasn't he? Izuku glances at Bakugo, her heart racing. She nods, relieved but still shaken. I was fine until he started getting too close. Todoroki's gaze is icy as he looks at the servant. It's unprofessional to make someone uncomfortable while they're working. You should know better. The servant's grin falters, and he realizes he's outnumbered. He straightens his posture and backs off slightly, but not before casting a lingering glare at Izuku. Servant, fine. I was just trying to be friendly. He huffs, clearly annoyed but knowing when to back down. As he walks away, Bakugo turns to Izuku, his expression softening slightly. Bakugo's tone is firm but gentle. You don't have to put up with that kind of CRP. If anyone gives you trouble, just let us know. We won't let them mess with you. Izuku feels a rush of gratitude and warmth at Bakugo's words. The way he stands protectively beside her makes her feel safe, even amidst the chaos of the mansion. Izuku smiling softly, her voice sincere. Thank you, Bakugo. I appreciate it. Denki nudges Kirishima, his grin returning. Looks like someone has a soft spot after all. Bakugo shoots him a glare, but it's more playful than angry this time. The tension in the air dissipates, and the boys begin to relax, grateful to have each other's backs and to stand up for Izuku. Back in the garden, Izuku takes a deep breath, trying to shake off the unsettling encounter. She resumes her work, focusing on the flowers and the soothing sounds of nature around her. Despite feeling a bit shaken, she finds comfort in the tasks at hand. Her determination to do well in her job helps her push through the lingering discomfort. Meanwhile, back in the lounge, the boys gather around again, their expressions serious as they process what just happened. The atmosphere is tense, and it's clear they're concerned about Izuku. Kirishima leaning forward still worried. I can't believe that guy was bothering Izuku like that. What a creep. Denki frowning, his usual carefree demeanor was replaced by frustration. Seriously. Who does he think he is? It's not okay to make her feel uncomfortable like that. Bakugo crosses his arms, still feeling the anger from the encounter boiling just beneath the surface. He should know better than to mess with her. She's not like the other maids. Todoroki and Gilio exchange glances, their expressions serious as they reflect on what they've seen in the mansion. Todoroki's voice is calm but firm. This isn't the first time I've seen him act this way. He always seems to approach the new and attractive maids. Gilio nods, adding his observations. Exactly. I've noticed him hanging around when the new girls arrive, and it's not just Izuku. He's persistent. Rodi, who has been quietly listening, adds his concern. I've seen a lot of maids resign recently, too. They all looked traumatized, and a few even left PRGNNT. Bakugo's jaw tightens as the implications of Rodi's words sink in. The thought of the male servant preying on vulnerable maids sends a chill down his spine. Bakugo's voice is low and serious. That BSTRD is dangerous. We can't let him keep doing this. But we need proof if we're going to take this to the old man. Denki scratching his head, he looks uncertain, but how are we supposed to get proof? He's not going to show his true colors when anyone is watching. Kirishima glances around the room, a look of determination on his face. We could keep an eye on him, see if he tries to pull something with another maid. But that could take time, and we can't risk Izuku getting hurt. Bakugo's frustration bubbles over as he paces the room, trying to think of a solution. We need to be ready to act fast. He might not wait long before he targets someone else. We can't just stand by. As they strategize, Izuku walks back into the lounge, wiping her hands on her apron, her demeanor cheerful but slightly worn from the day's work. The boys exchange worried glances, knowing they need to warn her without scaring her. Kirishima trying to keep it light. Hey, Izuku. How's it going? Did you enjoy working in the garden? Denki chimes in quickly, trying to mask their concern. Yeah. It's looking really good out there. Izuku smiles, unaware of the tension in the room. Thanks. I had a lot of fun out there. The flowers are blooming beautifully. Izuku, we need to talk about that male servant you met earlier. Bakugo said seriously. Izuku's smile falters slightly as she senses the gravity in his tone. Oh, okay. What about him? Todoroki gazing steadily at her, his voice calm yet firm. He's not someone you can trust. We've seen him act inappropriately with other maids before. He has a pattern. Rodi adds, his tone is serious. A lot of maids have resigned after feeling uncomfortable around him. Some of them look traumatized, and a few left PRGNNT. We just want you to be aware. Izuku's eyes widen in shock, her heart racing as she processes their words. I didn't know that. He just seemed a bit too friendly, but I didn't think dash. Bakugo cutting her off, his voice firm. Just keep your guard up around him. Don't let him get too close, and if he tries anything again, you come find us. We'll handle it. Izuku nods, feeling a mix of gratitude and anxiety. Knowing the boys are looking out for her gives her a sense of security, but the situation is still unsettling. Izuku softly, thank you for warning me. I'll be careful, I'll warn the other maids too. As they gather together, they all feel the weight of the situation. The boys know they need to protect Izuku and gather evidence against the servant, but for now, they stand united, ready to confront whatever challenges lie ahead. Chapter 4, Catch the Creep. Night falls, and the dining room buzzes with the clink of silverware and the low murmur of conversation. The boys sit around the large dining table with the old man, Bakugo's father, at the head. His usual calm demeanor shifts as he notices the boys' serious expressions. There's an unspoken tension in the air, and he knows something is off. Old man glancing around the table, his brow furrowed. You boys seem quieter than usual tonight. Is there something on your mind? Bakugo exchanges a glance with Todoroki and takes a deep breath, deciding to be the one to speak up. Bakugo's voice is steady, but firm. There's something you need to know about one of the employees here, one of the male servants. We think he's been causing trouble for some of the maids. Old man raises an eyebrow, surprised. Causing trouble? In what way? Uncle Weavy noticed a pattern. He targets the new and attractive maids, and tries to get too close. Many of them end up resigning shortly after, looking traumatized. Some even left PRGNT. Shinso explained. The old man's eyes widen in shock, his fork clattering onto the plate as he realizes the gravity of what he's hearing. I had no idea. How could this have been happening right under my nose? It's been subtle. He's careful about where and when he approaches them, and until recently, none of us had enough evidence to say anything. But after what we saw today with Izuku, it was clear that something was very wrong. Gilio says, and Izuku. She was the one who brought this to your attention. Old man asked. She didn't report him directly, but we saw how uncomfortable he made her today. It made us realize that we had seen this kind of behavior from him before. If she hadn't come here, we might never have connected the dots. Rody response. It seems that hiring her was a slide of luck, then. She might have saved many others from falling into his trap. I can't believe I didn't notice. Thank you for bringing this to me. Old man sighs. Bakugo clenches his fist, his voice low. We need to do something about him. We don't have solid proof yet, but we can't just let him keep doing this. The old man nods. You're right. We need to investigate quietly and gather evidence. In the meantime, I'll have him watch, and I'll make sure he's kept away from the maids, especially Izuku. Todoroki leans back in his chair, relieved that the old man is taking action. We'll keep our eyes open too, just in case. If we see anything suspicious, we'll let you know. Old man nods again, his tone resolute. Good. We'll get to the bottom of this. No one should feel unsafe working here. As the conversation comes to an end, the old man's thoughts drift toward Izuku. He realizes that her presence may very well have uncovered a dark secret in his mansion, and he silently vows to ensure her safety and the safety of all the staff from this point forward. That night, the mansion is quieter than usual, but for Izuku, every little sound feels amplified in the silence. After the warning from the boys, she remains on high alert, her senses attuned to any sign of the male servant or suspicious activity around the other maids. Her nerves are tense, but she's determined to stay vigilant. As she makes her way down one of the dimly lit corridors, a sudden sound behind her causes her to WHP around, her heart pounding in her chest. It's just Rody and Todoroki approaching, but she lets out a small gasp, her hand flying to her chest. Izuku takes a deep breath to calm herself. Oh my gosh, you two nearly gave me a heart attack. I thought it was him. Rody raises his hands apologetically, offering her a reassuring smile. Sorry, Izuku. We didn't mean to startle you. We just wanted to give you something. Todoroki steps forward, holding a small remote device in his hand. It's sleek and compact, with a single button in the middle. Todoroki in his usual calm tone. This is a call signal. If the servant tries anything suspicious, or if you feel threatened, just press this button. It will alert us right away, and we'll come running. Izuku's eyes widen slightly, and she takes the remote from Todoroki's hand, feeling the weight of it in her palm. There's a mix of relief and gratitude in her expression. Thank you both of you. I really appreciate this. I'll keep it with me just in case. Izuku smiled relief. Rody gives her a reassuring nod, don't hesitate to use it if you even sense something's wrong. We've got your back. Izuku smiles warmly at the two of them, her nerves calming slightly knowing that she has a way to reach out for help if needed. The gesture makes her feel a little more secure in the large mansion, knowing she's not alone in this. Izuku gripping the remote tightly, I will. Thank you for looking out for me. It means a lot. Get some rest, Izuku. We'll take turns keeping an eye out tonight, just to be safe. Todoroki says. With that, Izuku heads to her room for the night. As she lies in bed, she places the remote on her nightstand, within easy reach. She feels a mix of exhaustion and comfort as her eyes start to close, knowing that she's not alone in this battle and that she has allies who are ready to protect her. Meanwhile, outside, Rody and Todoroki exchange a silent nod before returning to their watch, determined to ensure that the night passes without incident. Middle of the night everyone was in their rooms, sleeping. Izuku startled awake by the knock. Who's there? She gets up and opens the door slowly, peering into the empty hallway, confused, no one. She steps out cautiously, glancing around. Izuku muttering to herself, maybe it was just my imagination. As she turns to go back to her room the creep suddenly appears, covering her mouth. Creep whispering, you shouldn't have come out. Izuku struggling, let me go. The creep smirking, you'll regret this. Izuku spots the remote on her nightstand, grabs it but, the creep pulled her and pinned her on the wall attempting to kiss her. Izuku shouting through his grip, help. The creep pulling her down, no one's coming for you. As Izuku frantically presses the remote, her hands trembling, the attacker grabs her wrist and tries to wrestle the device away from her. She struggles against him, fear and adrenaline coursing through her as she desperately tries to break free. His grip tightens, and she feels the sinister intent in his eyes as he draws closer, whispering threats that send chills down her spine. Creep smirks, you're mine. No. Let go of me. Help. Somebody help me. Izuku screamed in fear, no one's gonna hear you. Ha ha ha, the creep laughed and unbuttoned her dress, help. Izuku cried, just as the situation seems hopeless there's a sudden crash as the door bursts open. The boys storm in, their expressions a mix of fury and determination. Bakugo is the first to react, his fists clenched, eyes blazing with anger. Bakugo practically growling, his voice low and dangerous, get your filthy hands off her, you bastard. He lunges forward, delivering a swift punch to the creep, sending him stumbling back. Todoroki and Kirishima follow closely behind, while Rody stays near the door, ready to block any escape. Without hesitation, Kirishima grabs the creep by the collar, yank him away from Izuku and slam him against the wall. Kirishima's voice filled with barely contained rage, you've got a lot of nerve messing with one of us. You're done. Todoroki stands protectively in front of Izuku, his eyes cold as he glares at the man. If you move even an inch, I'll make sure you regret it. The creep tries to scramble to his feet, but Bakugo steps forward, and grabs his collar. Go ahead, try to run. I'd love an excuse to hit you out of this mansion. Bakugo yelled. Izuku, still shaken, stumbles back, her back pressed against the wall as she tries to catch her breath. Her heart races, but relief starts to wash over her as she sees the boys standing between her and the attacker. Rody quickly moves to Izuku's side, his tone gentle, you okay, Izuku? You're safe now. We're here. Izuku nods, her voice trembling but grateful, why yes thank you. Todoroki reaches out to steady her, his voice calm, it's over now. He won't be bothering you again. The boys surround the creep, ensuring he has no escape. As Bakugo grabs the man by the collar and drags him out of the room, the others stay close to Izuku, making sure she feels protected and supported. They exchange a knowing glance, determined to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again. The police arrive promptly, arresting the male servant and scooting him out of the mansion in HNDCFFS. The officers examine the evidence provided by Rhodey, who hands over the remote recorder with the captured audio of the incident. The proof is undeniable, and the officers express their gratitude for the boy's foresight in preparing the device. Police officer handcuffing the creep, "You're under arrest for attempted assault." Rhodey, "This has the proof we need. It recorded everything." Police officer taking the remote, "Good work. This will help the investigation." The old man, his face etched with concern and relief, appears on the scene. He looks around at the commotion and then at Izuku, who sits on a nearby bench, trembling from the shock of what happened. It doesn't take long for him to understand the gravity of the situation. Old man with a heavy sigh of relief. "Thank goodness if it weren't for you all, especially you, Izuku, we never would have uncovered this dark secret lurking in my own home. You were the key to stopping this." Izuku nods and remains silent, her hands clasped tightly in her lap as she tries to calm herself. Despite the comforting words from the old man, the events of the night replay in her mind, and she can no longer hold back the tears that start to fall. Her shoulders tremble as she sits there, feeling the overwhelming mix of fear, relief, and exhaustion. The boys notice her distress, and one by one, they gather around her. Kirishima crouches down beside her, speaking gently. Kirishima hands her a tissue, his usual playful demeanor replaced by genuine concern. "You were so brave back there. It's okay to cry, you know we've got your back." "I didn't know what to do back then, I'm scared and dash." Izuku wipes her tears. Todoroki sits on the bench next to her, his voice calm and soothing. "You did more than anyone could have asked for. You exposed something terrible and made this place safer for everyone. Don't carry this weight alone." "Thanks for helping me also," Izuku smiled, Bakugo standing slightly apart, his tone gruff but with a hint of softness. "Yeti-ch. You did good, alright. Don't let that creep take anything more from you. You're stronger than that." Izuku smiled warmly. The boys were stunned and blushed seeing that the old man watches the scene with a bittersweet expression, grateful for the bond that has formed between Izuku and the boys. He knows that, thanks to her courage and the boys' support, the mansion is no longer a place of secrets, but one of protection and newfound trust. Chapter 5, She's incredible. The morning sun shines through the mansion's large windows, casting a warm glow over the kitchen as Izuku moves around with practiced skill, preparing breakfast. Despite the events of the night before, she finds solace in cooking, pouring her heart into each dish. Soon, the aroma of freshly cooked food fills the air, making its way to the dining room. In the dining room, the boys and the old man sit around the large table. As the plates of food are brought in, they eagerly dig in. The first few bites quickly draw surprised and pleased expressions from all of them. Kirishima pausing mid-bite, his eyes widening. "Whoa, this is amazing. This tastes way better than anything we've had here before." Denki nodding enthusiastically, already reaching for more. "Seriously, who made this? It's like restaurant quality." Todoroki eats quietly, a small smile forming on his lips as he enjoys the flavors. Even Bakugo, who's normally quick to criticize, looks impressed as he continues eating, though he doesn't say anything at first. The old man, curious and pleasantly surprised himself, turns to the butler, who is standing near the entrance. The old man with a hint of amusement. "Butler, who's responsible for this delicious meal?" The butler gives a knowing smile and bows slightly. "That would be Miss Izuku. She insisted on preparing breakfast for everyone this morning." There's a brief moment of surprise as the boys exchange glances, clearly not expecting the new maid to have such talent in the kitchen. Bakugo huffs quietly, crossing his arms, though there's a faint glimmer of approval in his expression. Denki, "Oh, she's the one who made this delicious breakfast incredible." Gilio chuckling as he glances toward the kitchen. "Well, it seems Izuku has more talents than we realized. I'd say she's full of surprises." Rhodey grins. "No wonder it tastes so good. She really knows what she's doing." The old man nods approvingly. "I knew hiring her was the right decision. It seems she's already bringing more than just her courage to this household. Izuku, having finished in the kitchen, hesitates for a moment before stepping into the dining room to clear some dishes. She's not sure if the boys or the old man liked the food, but when she sees their satisfied expressions and hears the compliments, her cheeks flush slightly with pride. Kirishima grinning as he catches sight of her. Hey, Izuku. This breakfast is awesome. You're seriously talented. Izuku smiles shyly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. I am glad you liked it. I just thought it would be nice to make something for everyone as a thank you for last night. Todoroki with a small nod. You didn't have to, but we appreciate it. You're really something, Izuku. Bakugo glances at her, his expression softening just a bit. TCH, just don't make a habit of spoiling us too much. You'll raise our standards. The table bursts into light laughter, and for the first time in a while, the dining room feels a little more like a home, thanks to Izuku's presence. The boys gather on the private basketball court just outside the mansion, enjoying the crisp morning air as they play a casual game. Kirishima dribbles the ball down the court, passing it to Denki, who attempts a shot but misses. As they continue playing, the conversation inevitably drifts toward Izuku. Denki retrieves the ball and tosses it to Gilio. Man, Izuku's full of surprises, huh? First, she stands up to us, then she takes down a creep, and now she cooks like a pro. Gilio dribbling the ball thoughtfully. Yeah, she's definitely not what I expected when I heard we were getting a new maid. I thought she'd just be like all the others, but she's different. Rody, leaning against the fence while catching his breath, adds with a smirk. She's definitely got guts. Not many people would have fought back against us or handled that situation last night like she did. It's kind of refreshing. Todoroki stands near the hoop, wiping a bead of sweat from his forehead. Izuku's got a lot of strength, not just physically but mentally too. Most people would have been too scared to stay after what happened, but she's still here, even trying to lift everyone's spirits. Kirishima jumps in and grabs the ball, dribbling it toward the hoop. She's definitely tough. I respect that. It's kinda cool having someone around who doesn't treat us like we're untouchable or something. As he makes a layup, Bakugo, who had been uncharacteristically quiet throughout the conversation, grabs the ball and dribbles it back down the court. He suddenly passes it to Todoroki, his expression somewhere between a scowl and a frown. Bakugo grumbling. You guys are acting like she's some kind of hero or something. She's just doing her job. Besides, it's not like we're the ones who need to be impressed. Gilio raises an eyebrow, smirking slightly. Oh. Sounds like someone might actually be impressed already. Denki laughs. Yeah, Bakugo, you were blushing last night when you saw her in that dress, remember? Bakugo's face flushes with irritation as he glares at them. Shut up. I was not blushing. You idiots need to get your eyes checked. Rody chuckles, crossing his arms. You know, it wouldn't hurt to admit that she's grown on you. She's definitely had an effect on all of us. Bakugo scoffs, attempting to change the subject by taking another shot at the hoop. Whatever. Let's just play already. We've got a game to finish. Despite his efforts to steer the conversation away from Izuku, the boys continue to discuss her. There's a growing sense of mutual respect for her among them, and even Bakugo can't deny, though he won't admit it out loud, that she's brought a change to the mansion's atmosphere. As the boys continue their basketball game, Bakugo goes for a powerful shot, but it veers off course, heading straight for the laundry area where Izuku is hanging up clothes. The ball hits her on the shoulder, causing her to drop the sheet she was holding. Izuku gritting her teeth, glaring at the boys. Hey. Watch where you're aiming that thing. The boys stop playing, looking a bit sheepish. Kirishima scratches the back of his head awkwardly, and Denki gives a small apologetic wave, but Bakugo just smirks, walking over with his usual cocky attitude. Bakugo snickering. Well, maybe if you weren't standing in the line of fire, you wouldn't have gotten hit, huh? Izuku fuming as she picks up the sheet. Oh, so now it's my fault. You're the one with the lousy aim. Bakugo raising an eyebrow, still smirking. Lousy aim, huh? Alright then, if you think you can do better, why don't you prove it? Or are you too scared to take me on? Izuku's eyes narrow defiantly, and without hesitation, she steps forward, crossing her arms. Izuku, fine. I'll show you just how good my aim is. What's the challenge? Bakugo's smirk widens, clearly enjoying the idea of riling her up. Alright, we'll play one-on-one. First to 5 points wins. If I win, you have to do whatever I say for the day. Izuku without missing a beat, and if I win, you have to help me with the laundry. Deal. The boys exchange amused glances, a mix of surprise and interest in their expressions. They've never seen anyone stand up to Bakugo like this, especially not a maid. Gilio chuckles and leans against the fence. Gilio, well, this should be interesting. I didn't know you played basketball, Izuku. Izuku with a determined expression. There's a lot you don't know about me. Bakugo smirks, well then, show me what you've got. The makeshift game begins, and much to everyone's surprise especially Bakugo's Izuku holds her own. She dribbles with ease, weaving around Bakugo's attempts to steal the ball. She manages to score the first point with a swift layup. Bakugo caught off guard, blinking in surprise, where'd you learn to do that? Izuku grinning confidently, I used to play back in high school. You're not the only one who knows how to handle a ball. The game continues, and it becomes clear that Izuku isn't just keeping up, she's genuinely skilled. She scores another point with a smooth jump shot, leaving the boys cheering and Bakugo's irritation growing. Denki laughing and clapping, go, Izuku. Show him who's boss. Todoroki watches intently, a faint smile on his lips as he sees Bakugo being challenged in a way he's not used to. Despite Bakugo's fierce determination and aggressive play style, Izuku matches him move for move. The game becomes a true showdown, and Bakugo's usual cockiness starts to waver as he realizes this isn't going to be the easy win he expected. The game intensifies as the score is tied, with both Izuku and Bakugo only 1 point away from victory. The boys watch on with a mix of anticipation and excitement, none of them expecting the challenge to become this heated. Izuku has the ball, and she dribbles with determination, eyes focused on the hoop. Bakugo is right on her, his competitive spirit fully awakened as he tries to block her path. With a sudden burst of speed, Izuku makes a quick move to her right and leaps for the final shot. The ball sails through the air and sinks into the hoop with a satisfying swish. Izuku's momentum carries her forward, and as she lands, she loses her balance and accidentally falls right into Bakugo, knocking them both to the ground. There's a brief moment where everything seems to stop. Izuku finds herself on top of Bakugo, her hands braced on either side of him. Their faces are only inches apart, and for a few seconds, they stare into each other's eyes. Bakugo's usual scowl softens slightly, his breath hitching as he takes in the sight of her up close. The boys, watching from the sidelines, are stunned into silence. Denki's jaw drops, while Kirishima's eyes widen in surprise. Rodi and Todoroki exchange knowing glances, and even Gilio seems a little taken aback. Kirishima finally breaking the silence, did anyone else see that, or was it just me? Denki grinning mischievously, nope, definitely saw it. I think Bakugo just met his match. Izuku quickly scrambles to her feet, her cheeks flushed red as she brushes herself off, sorry. I didn't mean to fall on you. Bakugo sits up, his face slightly red as well. He huffs and averts his gaze, trying to regain his composure. TCH, whatever. You got lucky with that last shot. Izuku crosses her arms and gives him a triumphant smile, a deal's a deal. Looks like you'll be helping me with the laundry, Mr. Lousy Aim. The boys burst into laughter at her teasing, and Bakugo's irritation gives way to a faint, reluctant smirk. Despite his pride taking a hit, he can't deny that Izuku earned her victory and maybe, just maybe, he's starting to see her in a slightly different light. Bakugo and Izuku finish up the laundry in a surprisingly short time, thanks to Bakugo's efficiency and silent determination to get the task done quickly. As they finish folding the last of the clothes, Izuku gives him a grateful smile. Thanks for the help, Bakugo. I didn't think you'd actually follow through. Izuku says. Bakugo crosses his arms and grunts, looking away. A deal's a deal. Don't get used to it. Izuku chuckles softly and watches as Bakugo turns and heads back toward the mansion. She returns to her work, while Bakugo makes his way to the lounge, still replaying the moment they fell together in his head. No matter how much he tries to shake it off, he can't deny the image of her face so close to his, and how strikingly appealing she looked. It makes him feel strange, in a way he's not used to. As Bakugo leans back on the couch, his thoughts are interrupted by the sudden entrance of his friends. Denki, Kirishima, Todoroki, and Rodi stroll in with mischievous grins plastered on their faces. Denki sitting down next to Bakugo and nudging him playfully. So, how was laundry duty, Romeo? Did you two share any more accidental moments? Kirishima chuckling, yeah, man, you seemed a little dazed when you got back. I didn't know laundry was that intense. Bakugo frowning, his face turning slightly red, shut up. It was just laundry, okay? You idiots are blowing this out of proportion. Rodi crossing his arms and leaning against the wall, smirking, you sure about that? You looked pretty distracted when we came in. Thinking about someone, maybe. Todoroki raises an eyebrow and adds calmly, it's alright if you find her attractive. There's no shame in admitting it. Bakugo glares at them, but there's a hint of discomfort in his expression as he tries to deny it. You guys are seriously annoying, you know that. I'm not distracted, and I'm not thinking about her. I'm just remembering how she played basketball, that's all. Kirishima grinning widely, sure. Whatever you say, man. Denki laughs, admit it, Bakugo. She's gotten under your skin. And honestly, I don't blame you. She's different from anyone else we've met. She's got guts, and she's cute, too. Bakugo huffs, looking away as he tries to mask the truth behind his irritation. Deep down, though, he knows there's a part of him that's intrigued by Izuku, her strength, her resilience, and yes, her undeniable beauty. But for now, he's not ready to admit that, not even to himself. Bakugo, tch, whatever. I've got better things to do than sit around talking about a maid. As he gets up to leave the lounge, his friends exchange amused glances. They can tell that Bakugo's tough facade is starting to crack, even if he refuses to acknowledge it. Later afternoon at the lounge as Izuku cleans the room, she hears the familiar sounds of Denki and Kirishima playing video games. She glances over at the two boys, who are completely absorbed in their match, with Denki leaning forward intently and Kirishima grinning confidently as he presses the buttons on his controller. Denki noticing Izuku out of the corner of his eye, he calls out to her, hey, Izuku. Are you any good at games? Want to give it a shot? Izuku pausing her cleaning and tilting her head curiously, me. I've played a few times before, but I'm not that good. Kirishima grinning as he looks over at her. Come on, it'll be fun. We'll go easy on you, promise. Izuku considers for a moment before setting down her cleaning supplies and walking over. She takes a seat on the floor next to them, a bit unsure but also curious to see if she can at least hold her own. Izuku smiling, alright, I'll give it a try. But don't expect me to win. Denki hands her a controller and they explain the basics of the game, which is a fast-paced fighting game. As the match starts, Izuku fumbles a bit with the controls but quickly catches on. She may not be winning, but she's definitely putting up a decent fight, managing to land a few surprise hits on her opponents. Denki laughing as he dodges one of her attacks. Not bad, Izuku. You've got some natural talent. Kirishima chiming in, grinning, yeah, you're definitely better than most of our friends when they first started. Even though she loses the first few rounds, Izuku finds herself having a lot of fun. She laughs at her mistakes and eagerly tries again each time, her competitive spirit coming through. The boys are impressed by how quickly she picks up the game and how much determination she shows, even when she's losing. Izuku playfully pouting after another defeat. Okay, I'm starting to get the hang of it. One more round, I'm sure I'll win this time. Denki smirking, you're on. But don't blame me if I go all out. Kirishima chuckles as he restarts the game, and the three of them dive into another intense round. As they continue playing, Izuku's genuine enjoyment shines through, and the boys can't help but admire how she's so willing to take on a challenge and have fun, even if she doesn't come out on top. Eventually, Bakugo passes by the room and catches sight of Izuku laughing and playing with his friends. He feels a strange mix of annoyance and amusement watching them, especially seeing how quickly she's become comfortable around the others. Bakugo muttering to himself, crossing his arms, what's she doing wasting time playing games when she's supposed to be working? Despite his grumbling, a part of him can't help but feel a bit curious to see if Izuku could surprise him again this time, in a different way. Chapter 6, Angelic Voice. Later in the day, as Izuku wanders through the mansion, she hears the faint sound of music coming from one of the rooms. Following the sound, she finds herself standing outside the music room. She peeks through the slightly open door and sees Gilio sitting at the grand piano, his fingers gliding effortlessly over the keys, while Todoroki plays the violin with a focused expression. The melody is captivating, an appealing harmony that echoes through the room. Izuku watches in awe, her eyes wide as she's drawn in by the music. She stands there for a while, listening quietly, until the last notes fade away. As the music ends, Gilio looks up and catches sight of her standing by the doorway. Todoroki notices her a moment later and gives a small nod of acknowledgement. Gilio smiling warmly, you can come in, Izuku. No need to just stand there. Todoroki setting his violin down gently, it's alright. We don't mind having an audience. Izuku hesitates for a moment before stepping inside, a bit shy but curious. She closes the door behind her and walks over to where the two are standing. Izuku nervously tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, sorry, I didn't mean to intrude, I just heard the music and couldn't help but listen. You two play so beautifully. Gilio chuckling softly, thank you. It's nice to have someone appreciate it. We usually play just for ourselves, or sometimes for the old man. Todoroki nods, do you play any instruments, Izuku? Izuku shakes her head, no, I don't, but I've always thought the music was appealing. I just never had the chance to learn. Gilio's eyes light up with an idea, and he motions to the piano bench beside him, why don't you give it a try? I can teach you a simple melody. It's not as hard as it looks. Izuku was surprised by the offer, oh, I am not sure, I don't want to mess up or anything. Gilio smiling encouragingly, there's no harm in trying. We've all messed up a few times, haven't we, Todoroki? Todoroki a slight smile tugging at his lips, more than a few times. Izuku hesitantly sits down next to Gilio, who shows her where to place her hands on the keys. Todoroki watches from the side, offering quiet encouragement as she tries to play a few notes. Although her fingers are clumsy at first, she slowly gets the hang of it, a simple tune emerging from the piano. Izuku laughs softly as she hits a wrong note, I didn't realize it would be this tricky. Gilio grins, you're doing great for a first-timer. Just keep practicing. As Izuku continues, she finds herself getting a bit more comfortable with the instrument, the music room filled with the soft sound of the piano. For a moment, it feels like a peaceful escape from the rest of the world, a new experience shared between the three of them. As they continue playing around with the piano, Gilio suddenly gets an idea. He glances over at Todoroki, who seems to catch on as well. Gilio, you know, Izuku, since you're already trying out the piano, why don't you sing something for us? We could play the music while you sing. Todoroki nods in agreement, it could be fun. Do you have a song in mind? Izuku hesitates, her cheeks flushing slightly at the thought of singing in front of them. She fiddles with her fingers nervously but eventually nods, a small smile forming. Izuku, well, there's one song I've always loved. It's called A Million Dreams. Do you know it? Gilio, his eyes light up, and he exchanges a knowing look with Todoroki. I think we can manage that. What do you think, Todoroki? Todoroki already positioning his violin. I know the piece. Let's give it a shot. Gilio starts playing the introduction on the piano, while Todoroki joins in with a soft, melodic accompaniment on the violin. As the familiar melody fills the room, Izuku takes a deep breath and begins to sing, her voice trembling slightly at first but soon growing stronger. I close my eyes and I can see the world that's waiting up for me. Izuku sing. The boys continue to play, the music blending together seamlessly, and as Izuku moves through the lyrics, her voice grows more confident, filled with emotion. Her voice is pure, clear, and angelic, resonating throughout the music room with an appealing tone that surprises both of them. Gilio finds himself momentarily distracted by how captivating her singing is. He hadn't expected her voice to be so enchanting, almost as if it was casting a spell over the entire room. Todoroki, too, feels a sense of calm wash over him as he plays. There's something about the way Izuku sings that draws them in completely, as if every word is filled with dreams and hope. Her voice carries an innocence and strength that's rare to come by. Izuku continues to sing passionately, her eyes closed as she lets herself become completely immersed in the song. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. As she reaches the final lines, she hits each note perfectly, pouring her heart into the lyrics. When she finishes, the last notes from the piano and violin linger in the air before fading away into silence. There's a moment where no one says anything. Gilio and Todoroki are both stunned, their expressions a mix of admiration and surprise. Gilio, after a moment, he finally breaks the silence, his voice soft. Izuku, that was incredible. You have a truly appealing voice. Todoroki nods, still slightly in awe. It was more than that. Your singing, it felt like it came from the heart. Izuku, blushing deeply at their praise, she looks down shyly. I just love that song and I'm glad you liked it. The two boys exchange a look, as if silently agreeing on the same thought. Izuku may have started as just the new maid in the mansion, but there was clearly much more to her than they had initially realized. That night, the dining room was beautifully set for dinner, with soft candlelight flickering against the elegant decor. Todoroki and Gilio made their way to the table, joining the old man and the other boys, Bakugo, Denki, Kirishima, and Rodi. The atmosphere was filled with a mix of warmth and anticipation as they gathered to enjoy a meal together. Old man smiling as he takes his seat. I'm glad you all could make it. It's nice to have everyone together for dinner. We need to discuss the anniversary celebration coming up. Denki perking up with excitement. Oh yeah. What do you have planned, sir? Old man, well, I was thinking of a small gathering with close family and friends. Maybe a little party to celebrate the years of love and partnership with my wife. I want it to be special. Todoroki, who had been quietly listening, felt a surge of inspiration as he recalled the earlier event with Izuku. Todoroki clearing his throat to gain everyone's attention. Speaking of special, I wanted to mention something. Earlier today, we heard Izuku sing, and it was absolutely stunning. She has an angelic voice. Gilio, yeah, it's surprising to hear her sing for us. She's so special. The table fell silent for a moment, all eyes turning toward Todoroki, intrigued by his words. Kirishima leaning in with enthusiasm. Really? Izuku can sing. That's awesome. What song did she sing? Gilio nodding in agreement. She sang A Million Dreams and it was incredible. We were all mesmerized. Bakugo, who had been listening with a slight frown, crossed his arms but couldn't help but feel a flicker of interest at the mention of her talent. Old man looking thoughtful, he smiled warmly. That's wonderful to hear. It sounds like she has quite a gift. Perhaps we should invite her to perform at the anniversary celebration. It could add a lovely touch to the evening. Denki excitedly bounced in his seat. That's a great idea. Just imagine her singing for everyone. It'll be unforgettable. Rodi nodding eagerly. Yeah, we should definitely ask her. I think everyone would love it. Bakugo remained quiet, his mind racing. He could picture Izuku singing in front of everyone, and despite his usual irritation, he felt a sense of pride at the thought of her talent being recognized. Todoroki glancing around the table, I think it would be nice for her to share her talent with us all. She deserves the spotlight after everything she's done since coming here. The old man nodded, clearly pleased with the suggestion, then it's settled. After dinner, we'll ask Izuku to join us and see if she's willing to sing at the anniversary. I'm sure it'll be a delightful surprise for my wife as well. As dinner continued, the conversation flowed with laughter and camaraderie, the boys buzzing with excitement at the prospect of Izuku's performance. The thought of their new friend taking center stage only heightened their enthusiasm, creating a sense of anticipation that lingered in the air. Later that night, the mansion was calm and peaceful, the soft glow of lights illuminating the kitchen where Izuku stood pouring herself a glass of water. She wore a silky white dress that flowed gracefully with her movements, her hair cascading down her shoulders, adding to her ethereal beauty. She took a moment to enjoy the tranquility, feeling at home in the cozy space. Unbeknownst to her, the boys had gathered just outside the kitchen, still buzzing from their earlier conversation about her singing. Bakugo, Denki, Kirishima, Rodi, Todoroki, and Gilio peered in, captivated by her presence. Denki whispering, eyes wide with admiration, "Wow, she looks so appealing right now." Rodi chuckled, "She's an amazing and special girl," Kirishima nodding, grinning widely, "Seriously, she should always wear that dress. It suits her perfectly." Bakugo grumbling under his breath. "It's just a dress. Get over it." The others shot him knowing looks, but he ignored them, crossing his arms as if that would somehow shield him from the warmth flooding his chest. Finally, gathering their courage, the boys stepped into the kitchen, drawing Izuku's attention. Todoroki clearing his throat, "Hey, Izuku." Startled, she turned to face them, a smile brightening her face. "Izuku, oh. Hi, everyone. What's up?" Gilio stepping forward, a friendly grin on his face, "We wanted to let you know about the anniversary party for the old man tomorrow night." "Izuku, anniversary party. That sounds lovely. What do you need me for?" Kirishima excitedly, "We were thinking it would be amazing if you could sing at the party. Everyone would love it, and it would be a great surprise for the old man and his wife." Shinso, "We wanted you to sing for my uncle Bakugo's dad, the old man that hired you." Izuku's eyes widened, her cheeks flushing as she felt a mix of shyness and disbelief. Izuku stammering slightly, "Oh, I don't know about that. What if I mess up?" Denki stepped closer, encouragingly, "You won't. You're amazing, Izuku. You should share your talent. Plus, it'll mean a lot to them." Bakugo watched her reaction closely, unable to hide the flicker of admiration in his eyes. He didn't like seeing her hesitate, as it only reminded him of the strength she'd shown earlier when confronting the male servant. Bakugo with a hint of seriousness, "Just do it. You can handle it. If you can take us on in basketball, then singing in front of a crowd should be easy." Izuku glanced around at the encouraging faces of the boys, their anticipation palpable. She took a deep breath, contemplating their words. The thought of singing in front of everyone still terrified her, but she also felt a spark of excitement at the possibility of bringing joy to others. Izuku finally nodded, a small smile breaking through her nerves. "Okay, I'll do it. I'll sing for the anniversary." The boys erupted into cheers, their excitement echoing through the kitchen. "Rodi, yes. You won't regret it, Izuku. It'll be so much fun." As they celebrated, Bakugo stepped back, a subtle smile tugging at his lips. Despite his usual bravado, he couldn't help but feel proud of her decision. He knew she would shine, and the thought of seeing her in the spotlight filled him with a strange sense of anticipation. Chapter 7, The Anniversary Ball. The next morning, the mansion was bustling with activity. Every servant and maid under the butler's watchful eye was hard at work, preparing for the anniversary celebration that would take place that evening. The grand hallways were filled with the sounds of chatter, footsteps, and the rustling of decorations being hung with care. Streamers and floral arrangements were being set up in every corner, while the dining room was being transformed into a space fit for a celebration. In the kitchen, chefs were busy preparing the menu, with the scent of freshly baked pastries and simmering sauces wafting through the air. The tables were being set with fine china and crystal glasses, and the outdoor garden was being adorned with twinkling lights, creating a magical ambience for the evening to come. Izuku found herself helping with various tasks, from arranging flowers to polishing the silverware. She worked diligently, eager to contribute to the event, but also felt the weight of anticipation for her upcoming performance. She couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness as she thought about singing in front of so many people. Butler walking over to Izuku, offering her a warm smile, "Miss Izuku, the decorations are coming along beautifully. You've done an excellent job. How are you feeling about tonight?" Izuku pausing in her work, she took a deep breath, a small smile appearing on her face. "I'm a little nervous, but I'm also looking forward to it. I hope I can make it special for the old man and his wife." Butler nodding approvingly, "I have no doubt you will, my dear. Your talent will be the highlight of the evening. If you need anything to prepare, please let me know." As the butler walked away to oversee the rest of the preparations, Izuku continued with her tasks, her mind drifting between the hustle and bustle of the morning and the upcoming performance. She knew the boys had placed a lot of faith in her, and she didn't want to let them down. In the lounge, the boys gathered to watch the preparations, occasionally lending a hand when needed but mostly observing the transformation of the mansion. They chatted amongst themselves about the party and their plans for the night. Denki grinning as he watched Izuku carry a vase of flowers to the dining room, "Looks like everyone's in high spirits. I can't wait for Izuku to sing tonight. It's gonna blow everyone away." Kirishima nodding in agreement, "Yeah. And it'll be awesome to see the old man's reaction. He'll be so surprised." Todoroki leaning back in his chair, "It's good that everyone's pitching in to make this event perfect. The anniversary deserves to be memorable." Bakugo remained quiet, glancing at Izuku as she worked. His expression was unreadable, though he felt an inexplicable sense of anticipation for the evening. Despite his usual demeanor, he had a feeling that tonight would mark a special moment not just for the anniversary, but for everyone in the mansion. The night of the anniversary celebration had finally arrived, and the mansion was filled with the elegant sounds of music and lively conversation. Guests and visitors were arriving, dressed in their finest attire, and the grand ballroom was now glowing under the soft light of chandeliers. The atmosphere was warm and joyful, as people gathered to celebrate the old man and his wife's special day. In the midst of the preparations, Izuku was still in her room, staring at the few dresses she had brought with her. None seemed fitting for the grand ball, and she was starting to feel disheartened. She hadn't anticipated needing something so formal and was at a loss for what to do. Izuku frowning at the dress in her hands, "This is a disaster. I can't wear this to the ball. It's too plain." Kirishima entering the room, "Hey, Izuku. What's wrong? You look stressed." Izuku sighs, "This dress. It's just not right. I feel like a frumpy maid in it, not a guest at a ball." Kirishima smiling, "Hey, don't worry. I have an idea. How about we call in some professional help?" Izuku eyes widening, "Professional help? Like a makeup artist and stylist?" Kirishima, always the problem solver, quickly dialed a number on his phone and called in a favor. Within an hour, a private makeup artist and a professional dresser arrived at the mansion and were ushered into Izuku's room. Kirishima giving Izuku a reassuring pat on the shoulder, "You're gonna be the belle of the ball tonight, Izuku. Just leave it to them." Izuku, Kirishima, "It's Tomuchi, Kirishima, no buts. You're gonna attend the ball and impress the audiences with your voice, I'm not gonna let you go there wearing that." Izuku smiled, "Thanks Kirishima, Kirishima, alright. Do the makeover now." The ballroom was abuzz with activity, filled with the guests, the old man, his wife, and the boys, who were mingling near the entrance. The music played softly in the background as everyone chatted and enjoyed the atmosphere. Old man worried, "Where's Izuku? Is she still busy?" Gilio, "We don't know sir, but don't worry." Kirishima went to her room to go check on her. Rodi, "What if she's still nervous to perform?" Bakugo, "She better make it to a tender else." As the grand doors of the ballroom swung open, a hush fell over the crowd. All eyes turned toward Izuku, who stepped in, radiant in her stunning dress. The fabric shimmered like starlight, flowing gracefully as she moved. Kirishima, beaming with pride, held her hand gently, guiding her through the sea of guests. The boys, standing near the edge of the crowd, were utterly stunned. They had never seen her like this before, so elegant and radiant. Their jaws practically dropped at the sight. Denki whispering to Todoroki, "Is that really Izuku? She looks wow." Todoroki nodding in silent agreement, his gaze fixed on her, "She looks amazing." Bakugo's eyes widened slightly, his usual cool demeanor slipping for a moment as he took in the sight of Izuku. A faint blush crept onto his cheeks, though he quickly averted his gaze to hide it. As Kirishima and Izuku approached the center of the ballroom, the old man stepped forward with a warm smile. "Old man, Miss Izuku. You look absolutely wonderful. It's an honor to have you here tonight." Izuku blushing slightly, she bowed her head politely. "Thank you, sir. I'm happy to be here to celebrate this special night." The old man's wife stepped forward as well, giving Izuku a kind smile. "Old man's wife, you're a vision, dear. I'm sure tonight will be truly unforgettable." As the music resumed, Kirishima took the lead in guiding Izuku further into the ballroom. Her heart raced as she realized that tonight, she wasn't just another maid in the mansion. Tonight, she was something more, someone who belonged in the spotlight, if only for a little while. As the evening progressed, Izuku gathered her courage and made her way toward the small stage that had been set up for the occasion. The atmosphere was filled with anticipation as the guests quieted down, turning their attention to her. Izuku's heart pounded in her chest, but she took a deep breath, glancing over at Gilio and Todoroki, who were positioned with their instruments, ready to accompany her. The soft melody of the piano began as Gilio played the opening notes, followed by Todoroki's gentle touch on the violin. The familiar tune of "A Thousand Years" filled the air, and Izuku closed her eyes for a moment to steady herself before opening them again and beginning to sing. Izuku's singing with a voice that was pure and angelic, "Heart beats fast, colors and promises, how to be brave, how can I love when I'm afraid to fall." Her voice floated effortlessly through the room, capturing the attention of everyone present. The emotion in her voice resonated with the audience, and the lyrics seemed to take on a deeper meaning as she sang for the old man and his wife. There was a quiet intimacy to her performance, as if she was singing directly to the couple, celebrating the love they shared. The boys stood near the back of the crowd, their eyes fixed on Izuku. They could hardly believe what they were hearing. Her voice was so enchanting and filled with such depth that it seemed to touch the very soul. As the song continued, they found themselves mesmerized by her, admiring not just her beauty but the talent and grace she displayed. Denki whispering to Rodi, "I knew she could sing, but not like this. It's incredible." Rodi nodding in agreement, his eyes still on Izuku, "She's something special." Even Bakugo, who usually kept his emotions in check, was visibly affected. He found himself caught up in the moment, a faint blush on his cheeks as he watched her sing with such passion. His irritation from earlier seemed to melt away, replaced by a newfound admiration that he couldn't deny. As the song neared its end, Izuku's voice soared with the final lines, filling the ballroom with a gentle yet powerful emotion. Izuku finishing the last verse with a heartfelt tone. "I have loved you for 1,000 years, I'll love you for 1,000 more." When the last note faded, the room remained still for a moment, as if everyone was holding their breath. Then, the applause erupted, filling the air with cheers and praise. The old man and his wife were particularly moved, their smiles wide and eyes shining with appreciation. Old man's wife clapping enthusiastically, "That was simply appealing, my dear. Truly a gift to us all." Old man nodding in agreement, his voice filled with warmth, indeed. You've given us a moment to cherish forever, Miss Izuku. Izuku bowed humbly, feeling a deep sense of relief and pride as she stepped off the stage. She hadn't expected such an overwhelming response, but seeing the happiness on the old couple's faces made every second worth it. As she walked back toward the crowd, the boys couldn't help but stare at her with newfound respect and admiration. In that moment, they weren't just seeing the maid who worked at the mansion. They were seeing Izuku, someone extraordinary, someone who was slowly capturing their hearts. The boys' feelings for Izuku were growing stronger, and as the night progressed, it became clear that their admiration was evolving into something more. They had all realized they shared the same interest, and with that understanding came a quiet, underlying rivalry. Each one wanted a chance to dance with her, to have a moment alone to express what they felt in their own way. The atmosphere on the ballroom floor began to shift as the boys exchanged tense glances, each determined to be the one to ask Izuku for the next dance. Bakugo, never one to back down, stepped forward first, but before he could speak, Todoroki also approached, and Kirishima wasn't far behind. Bakugo quietly, "Hey you who did good up there singing, I mean, can you dance with me?" Izuku stunned, Todoroki, with a composed expression. "Midoriya, may I have this dance?" Denki grinning, "Hey Izuku, you're incredible, you know that. You've got more guts than anyone else in this place, can I dance with you?" Rodi leaning closer to whisper, "You've got a real magic about you, Izuku. I could watch you sing all day or dance with me." Bakugo glaring at the others, "Back off extras. I'm dancing with her." Todoroki calmly, "I thought you don't like her, it's my turn." Kirishima energetically, "Hey, I'm next. Don't hog all her time. Shinso, we should take turns." "There's no need to be so forceful, Bakugo." Gilio sincerely, Izuku, you've brought something special to this place. Your presence has changed the atmosphere, for the better, may I? Kirishima interjecting, with a grin, "Hey, it's not a competition, right? Let's not make a scene." It was clear that the rivalry was very real. As they all trying to get Izuku's attention, the bickering started to escalate. Their voices grew louder as they argued over who would get to dance with her first, each trying to assert their claim. Izuku, standing in the middle of the argument, felt the frustration bubbling up inside her. She had been flattered at first, but now, with all the arguing and the competitiveness, it was becoming exhausting. Finally, she had enough. Izuku raising her voice, her expression turning irritated, "Enough. I'm not a prize to be fought over." The boys all froze, stunned into silence by her outburst. The look on her face said it all, she was tired and fed up. Without another word, she turned on her heel and walked out of the ballroom, leaving them standing there, speechless. The soft hum of the music and the murmurs of the other guests returned as they watched her storm away. Bakugo clenched his fists, a flash of guilt crossing his features as he watched her leave. Todoroki's gaze softened, realizing they had taken things too far. The rest of the boys exchanged awkward glances, their faces reflecting a mix of guilt and disappointment. They hadn't meant to make her feel overwhelmed, but in their longing to get closer to her, they had ended up driving her away. As Izuku walked down the dimly lit hallway, she took a deep breath, trying to calm the irritation that still lingered. She had come to the mansion to work, not to deal with a group of boys who couldn't seem to control their egos. She was frustrated, but also hurt that they had made her feel like she was nothing more than a trophy. She needed some time alone to clear her head and figure out what to do next. Chapter 8, Dignity. Izuku sat by the mansion's fountain, the cool night air and the soothing sound of water helping her calm down. The soft glow of the garden lights illuminated her features, revealing the mix of frustration and sadness still lingering in her eyes. She was just starting to relax when she noticed a figure approaching. It was a wealthy-looking old man, dressed in an expensive suit, his smile confident and slightly unsettling as he came closer. He looked her up and down, clearly impressed by her appearance. Old man smoothly, with a hint of arrogance, "Good evening, my dear. You're quite a sight to behold tonight. I couldn't help but notice you storming out of the ballroom. Such a lovely young lady like you shouldn't be left alone. Izuku looks at him, though I know you. Old man taking a step closer, his tone dropping to a murmur, no, Booty see potential in you, young lady. You're appealing, hard-working, and you have a certain spirit. How would you like to have a better life? I can offer you money much more than you're making now. All you need to do is entertain me, perhaps even consider marrying me. Izuku's eyes widened in disbelief, and she immediately took a step back. The nerve of this man, thinking he could buy her like some kind of object. Her jaw tightened as she struggled to keep her composure. Izuku firmly, with a sharp glare, I'm not for sale, and I'm certainly not interested in any of your offers. I came here to work and earn a living honestly, not to be someone's entertainment. Old man's smile faded slightly, replaced with an annoyed expression. Oh, come now, don't be foolish. Think about your future. You could live in luxury, never have to work another day in your life. Izuku interrupting, her voice rising as she stood her ground, I'd rather work hard every day than sell my dignity. You may think you can buy anything you want, but not me. I have self-respect, and no amount of money can change that. Old man voice low and coaxing, but with an edge of impatience, come now, don't be so stubborn. Think about it, this could be your one chance to escape the life you're living. You just need to accept my offer. His hand reached out as if to grab her arm. Izuku jerked away, her eyes flashing with defiance. Izuku firmly, her voice steady, I said no. You can't just force me into this. I have my own dreams and my own path, and I won't be bought. The old man's expression darkened, and he took another step forward, reaching for her again. Old man angrily, you're being foolish, girl. You should know when to dash. Rody stepping out from the shadows, his voice firm and filled with anger, that's enough. Rody moved between Izuku and the old man, glaring at the wealthy man with protective fury. He put a reassuring hand on Izuku's shoulder, keeping her behind him. Rody coldly, eyes narrowing, she said no. If you can't respect that, then you'd better leave before things get ugly. The old man huffed, glaring back at Rody. Old man scoffing, you insolent boy. Do you know who you're talking to? I could dash, Rody cutting him off, voice unwavering, I don't care who you are. What you're doing is harassment, and I won't stand by and let you treat her like that. Now get out of here. The old man glared at them both for a long moment, his jaw set in frustration. Realizing he was facing a losing battle, he sneered before turning away, muttering angrily as he walked off into the night. Izuku let out a shaky breath, her heart still racing from the confrontation. She turned to Rody, her eyes wide with a mix of gratitude and surprise. Izuku quietly, her voice is still a little unsteady, Rody, thank you. I didn't know what he might have done if you hadn't shown up. Rody giving her a reassuring smile, his tone softening. Don't mention it. I wasn't going to let some creep get away with treating you like that. You handled yourself pretty well, though. Izuku managed a small smile, feeling a bit safer and comforted by Rody's presence. Though the night had been full of surprises, she was grateful for having people around who would stand up for her. The party had finally come to an end, and the boys gathered in the lounge, their suits slightly wrinkled after the long evening. Rody walked in, his expression more serious than usual, catching the attention of the group. Denki curious, noticing Rody's expression. Hey, Rody, what's up? You look like you've got something to say. Rody sighing, rubbing the back of his neck, yeah, I do. Something happened with Izuku tonight near the fountain. The others perked up at the mention of Izuku, their expressions shifting from curiosity to concern. Todoroki frowning, his voice steady, what happened? Is she all right? Rody nodding, but his tone was still tense, she's okay now, but some old guy approached her, tried to offer her money to entertain him and even marry him. His expression hardened. When she refused, he tried to force her to accept. Kirishima's hands tightened into fists, anger flashing in his eyes, gritting his teeth. What a scumbag! How could someone try to treat her like that? Did he hurt her? Rody shaking his head quickly, no, I made sure of that. I stepped in before he could do anything. The guy backed off when he saw I wasn't gonna let him get away with it. Bakugo leaning forward, his face darkening with anger. TCH. I knew those rich idiots would show their true colors sooner or later. We should have kept a closer eye on her. Gilio, his voice calm, but his eyes sharp. It's a good thing you were there, Rody. If any of us had seen it happen, he trailed off, a hint of menace in his tone. Todoroki nodding in agreement. We need to make sure she's safe, especially after tonight. If there's anyone else like that old man, they might think they can take advantage of her. Denki looking worried, do you think she's okay? I mean, that must have shaken her up. Should we go check on her? Rody sighing, she's still pretty shaken, but she'll be fine. I think what she needs most right now is some space and time to collect herself. Pausing, he looked around at the group, a hint of determination in his eyes. But we should definitely make sure nothing like that happens again. The room fell into a brief silence, each of the boys quietly agreeing that they needed to be more vigilant from now on. Even though the party was over, it was clear that their feelings for Izuku were becoming more serious and that protecting her had become a shared priority. The next morning, Izuku found herself in the kitchen preparing breakfast for the boys. She couldn't shake off the lingering feelings from the previous night, but she pushed them aside, focusing on the task at hand. Once everything was ready, she carefully loaded the plates onto a tray and headed outside to the pool area, where the boys were swimming and relaxing. As she approached, she could see them enjoying the sunny morning. Bakugo was doing laps, while Denki and Kirishima were splashing each other, and Todoroki lounged on a deck chair, reading a book. Gilio and Rody were tossing a beach ball back and forth, laughing. Izuku calling out, trying to project her voice over the splashing water, good morning, everyone. I brought breakfast. Bakugo, hearing her, stopped swimming and climbed out of the pool, water dripping from his toned body as he wiped his hands on a towel. Bakugo smirking, trying to act nonchalant, about time, Izuku, I was starting to think you forgot us. Izuku smiled at him, though she could feel a hint of nervousness creeping in. Izuku shaking her head, I wouldn't forget about you guys. I just wanted to make sure everything was perfect. Kirishima, still in the pool, swam over, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Kirishima grinning widely. What did you make? I'm starving. Izuku set the tray down on a nearby table, revealing a spread of fresh fruit, scrambled eggs, toast, and some pancakes, all beautifully arranged. Izuku proudly, I made pancakes, eggs, and some fruit. I hope you like it. Denki popped up from the water, his eyes lighting up at the sight of the food. Denki excitedly, it looks amazing, Izuku. You're the best. Todoroki finally looked up from his book, a faint smile playing on his lips as he took in the breakfast spread. Todoroki nodding appreciatively, thank you, Izuku. This looks really good. As the boys gathered around the table, Izuku felt a warmth in her chest at their compliments. She was still feeling the weight of the previous night, but being here, surrounded by the boys, helped ease her anxiety. Rody sitting down and grabbing a plate, you know, you've really brightened up this place since you arrived. We're lucky to have you here. Izuku blushed at the compliment, fiddling with her hair. Izuku softly, I'm just doing my job. I'm glad you all like the food. Bakugo, having finished drying off, approached her, a more serious expression on his face than before. Bakugo grumbling slightly, but with genuine intent, just remember, if anyone bothers you again, you come to us. Got it. Izuku nodded, appreciating the protectiveness in his tone. Izuku, I will thanks. As they all settled down to eat, the laughter and chatter filled the air, providing a sense of normalcy and camaraderie. For a moment, Izuku allowed herself to forget about the previous night and enjoy the simple pleasure of being among friends. The boys were gathered around the pool, enjoying a hearty breakfast and laughing among themselves. Just then, a sleek, luxury car pulled up to the mansion. Out stepped Cammy, a fashionable young woman with an air of confidence that turned heads as she made her way toward the pool area. With a bright smile and an effortless charm, Cammy approached, her gaze fixed on Bakugo. She had always been drawn to him, hoping to win his affection, but Bakugo had made it clear time and time again that he wasn't interested. Cammy flipping her hair and beaming as she arrived, "Hey, Katsuki. I'm back from my trip. Did you miss me?" Bakugo glanced up, his expression unimpressed as he took a sip of his drink. "Bakugo, not really." Cammy leaned in closer, her playful demeanor unwavering. "Oh, come on. I brought back some amazing things from my travels. You should let me show you." As Cammy spoke, Izuku stood a little off to the side, tray in hand, feeling slightly uncomfortable watching the interaction. She didn't know Cammy but sensed the tension between her and Bakugo. Izuku could see how Cammy was trying to grab his attention, and Bakugo was doing his best to ignore her. The other boys chuckled at the scene, clearly entertained by Cammy's persistent advances. However, Bakugo was growing increasingly annoyed. "Bakugo," with a sigh, "I said I'm not interested. Quit bothering me." Cammy pouted, "Oh, come on. It'll be fun." Izuku watched from the side, feeling a mix of sympathy for Bakugo and awkwardness for herself. She decided it was best to slip away from the scene. Izuku clearing her throat, "Excuse me, I'll just check on the kitchen." As she turned to leave, Cammy's attention shifted to her. Cammy curious and upbeat, "Hey there. Who's this? I haven't seen you around." Izuku nervously smiling, "I'm Izuku. I work here." Cammy's eyes sparkled with intrigue, and she leaned closer to Izuku, ignoring Bakugo's frustrated sigh. "Cammy, well, you're quite cute. You should come join us more often. We could have a lot of fun together." Bakugo's irritation grew, and he shot a warning look at Cammy. "Leave her alone, Cammy. She's not interested in your games." Izuku felt heat rising to her cheeks as she tried to escape the awkward situation. "Izuku, I really need to go dash." With a hasty exit, Izuku left the pool area, grateful for the fresh air as she headed toward the kitchen, away from the tension and unwanted attention. After a few minutes in the kitchen, Izuku returned to the pool area, balancing a tray of snacks carefully in her hands. As she approached, she noticed that the atmosphere had shifted slightly. Bakugo was trying his best to ignore Cammy, who was clearly becoming frustrated with his lack of attention. As Izuku got closer, she could see Cammy watching her with narrowed eyes, a hint of irritation crossing her face as she realized Bakugo's focus was on Izuku instead of her. Cammy feigning a cheerful tone but with an edge, "Oh, look who's back. The maid brings snacks. How cute." Izuku felt a pang of discomfort at Cammy's words, but she tried to brush it off, smiling as she set the tray down on a nearby table. "Izuku, I hope you all like these. I made sure to prepare a mix of everything." Bakugo's gaze flickered from Cammy to Izuku, his expression softening slightly as he watched her offer snacks to the group. The other boys eagerly grabbed treats, and Bakugo couldn't help but admire how hard Izuku worked to make everyone happy. Cammy crossed her arms, tapping her foot impatiently. She leaned closer to Bakugo, trying to regain his attention. "Cammy, so, Katsuki, what do you think of my new outfit? I thought it would catch your eye." But Bakugo merely shrugged, his eyes still lingering on Izuku, who was chatting with Denki and Kirishima about the snacks. "Bakugo, it's whatever. You know I don't care about that stuff." Cammy's irritation grew as she watched Bakugo seem more interested in Izuku's easygoing nature than her attempts to flirt. Cammy threw gritted teeth, but with a forced smile. "You know, it's kind of rude to ignore someone when they're talking to you. Bakugo, you're the one who's bothering me. I'm not in the mood." Feeling the tension rising, Izuku tried to interject and lighten the mood. "Izuku, how about we play a game? I can join if you want." Her suggestion caught the boys' attention, and they quickly agreed, excited by the idea of a fun distraction. Kami, however, was less than pleased. Denki, great idea, Izuku. What game should we play? As they began discussing various games, Bakugo watched Izuku closely, feeling a warmth in his chest. Meanwhile, Kami seethed quietly, a plan forming in her mind to regain Bakugo's attention. Kami smirking, trying to mask her jealousy, why don't we play a game where we pair up? I bet Kaken would want to team up with me. Izuku, how about we just play together as a group? It'll be more fun that way. Bakugo's gaze flickered back to Izuku, a hint of admiration in his eyes as he nodded in agreement. Bakugo, yeah, let's do that. No need for partners. Izuku smiled brightly at him, feeling a surge of warmth, while Kami's irritation deepened as she realized her attempts to separate them weren't going as planned. As the group finished discussing their plans for the chicken fight, Kami clapped her hands together, a sly smile on her face. Kami, alright, everyone. Before we start, I think it's time for a little wardrobe change. Let's see those swimsuits. The boys looked at each other, excitement building as they prepared to see their friends in their swimwear. Kami was the first to make her way to the changing area, eager to impress Bakugo. Moments later, she emerged in a stylish, eye-catching bikini that accentuated her figure. She struck a pose, hoping to grab Bakugo's attention. Kami playfully twirling, what do you think, Katsuki? Pretty hot, right? Bakugo glanced her way, trying to keep his disinterest clear, though. The other boys cheered, clapping in appreciation. Kirishima, looking great, Kami. Denki grinned, giving a thumbs up. Yeah. You rock it. But Bakugo remained indifferent, shrugging as he turned his attention back to the pool. Bakugo, whatever. Kami frowned slightly, but she quickly brushed it off, convinced she could get his attention back. A few moments later, Izuku made her way out of the changing area, and the boys fell silent, jaws dropping in unison. Izuku emerged in a cute, modest swimsuit that suited her perfectly. The fabric complemented her figure, and her hair fell gracefully around her shoulders. She looked both adorable and confident, her cheeks slightly flushed as she adjusted her swimsuit nervously. Rody eyes wide, wow, Izuku. You look amazing. Denki's mouth dropped open, and he struggled to find words, seriously. You look like a total goddess. Bakugo blinked in surprise, feeling a strange mix of emotions washed over him. He hadn't expected Izuku to look so appealing, and for a moment, he was at a loss for words. He felt the heat rising to his cheeks as he realized his heart was racing. Izuku felt a wave of shyness wash over her, blushing under the attention. She smiled nervously, feeling a bit overwhelmed by their compliments. Izuku, thank you, everyone. I just wanted to be comfortable for the games. As she stepped closer to the pool, Kami huffed, crossing her arms and trying to regain her confidence. Kami, well, I guess we'll just have to see who's the real star of the chicken fight. But even as she spoke, it was clear that Izuku had stolen the spotlight, and Kami felt her jealousy growing once more. The boys quickly gathered around, excited for the upcoming game, but Kami's eyes were fixed on Bakugo, determined to regain his attention. Kirishima, okay, let's get started. Who's teaming up? As they organized themselves, Bakugo's gaze kept drifting back to Izuku, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in how confident she looked. The game was about to begin, and tensions were high, not just for the chicken fight, but also in the growing rivalry sparked by their feelings for Izuku.